Hello, ladies and gentlemen, greetings and welcome to Muka Talk Show. My name is Joseph from Banyo, your host for today's episode. On this episode, we have an amazing topic we're gonna be discussing about. I have my guest, but before we dive into welcoming the guest, the topic of discussion today is about the importance of nurturing young people for a better future. We know all it is important to prepare the young people for the future in order to have important people for our economic growth. Let me give opportunity my guest to introduce himself as we dive into the conversation.
My name is Mark Howard Henderson. I'm from Newport Beach, California, one of the 52 states in America. I came to Uganda 2 years ago, September 3rd, 2022. I consider myself a voice for the voiceless. Every Tuesday from 12:30 to 1 in Fort Portal, I speak on Voice of Torah Radio. We're known as the People's Voice. Today is a happy day for all of us here at Muka Talk Show. What if today was the last day of your life? Would your life be fulfilled? Would you have any regrets? Time is the most valuable thing and yet limited thing that we possess. The frightening thing is that our lives are on average 900 months. If a person is 25 years old, they have lived 300 months.
Yeah, sure.
That's 1/3 of their lifetime. So what's really important is for you to think about time. What do you do with your time? You know, we can't go back in the past. We may have regrets, but we cannot change the past. So I have a mantra for you. The mantra is forwards ever, backwards never. I have regrets. When I was young, I didn't spend enough time reading and enough time studying. So when I was 19 years old and I graduated high school, I was not ready for college. I worked as a carpenter for 3.5 years, which made me very strong. So that when I did go to college, I was ready for college. I became an honor student. And I was very successful in business.
Yeah, sure.
But most important was my faith in God. They carried me through the valleys to help me ascend to the soul of the heights. My dream was to be a mountain climber. I never could have been a climber, except that I worked in construction for 3.5 years. I became physically strong, so that I then had what was necessary to climb mountains. Climbing mountains helped me to conquer fear. You know, fear is the one thing that paralyzes us. It prevents us from living our dream and being who God created us to be. So when I climbed mountains, it helped me conquer the fear of college. It helped me conquer the fear of being a businessman because I was actually very quiet, very introverted. I was very intelligent, but working in the business world was very hard. So my faith in God and the experience I had from climbing mountains helped me overcome my fears. So I want to encourage young people today.
Yeah, sure.
The most important thing you can do is conquer fear. And if you believe you can do something, you can do it. But we need each other. We need each other to encourage one another and to help us through the tough times in life. Yeah?
Yeah, sure. So, Mark, for the time you have been in Uganda, and according to your age, we know you have passed through a lot. You're too experienced. What is the importance of nurturing young people?
I would say that young people are the future of Uganda. Spiritually, young people are the future of the church. You know, Uganda is different than America in many ways.
Yes.
My mother was in a farming family, but farming is different there. But here, a lot of people dig. So they cultivate the soil, they plant seeds. But who is it that makes the seeds grow? It's God.
It's God, sure.
And so I can cultivate the soil, your minds, the minds of young people, by asking them questions. But we can plant seeds, but we can't make the seeds grow. A saying that I love, be like a tree and never stop growing. My biggest regret, when I was young, I had no one to mentor me, no one to tell me what to do in the future, and I was terrified, honestly.
Yeah.
So when I finally, to become a mountain climber, I was 22 years old. It was the year 1980. I met a famous mountain climber, 14 years older than me, and he was a teacher.
Yes.
If not for Dennis, I could never have lived my dream of being a mountain climber. When I started college, I probably wouldn't have amounted to anything except I had a professor, a history professor, Tom Osborne, and he believed in me. He told me which classes to take, which professors to take. He wanted me to become a lawyer. And I was terrified. I never would have taken those hard classes if he hadn't have encouraged me.
Yeah, sure.
But he was planting seeds in me, and it was God who made these seeds grow. And so I don't like quarreling, so I didn't become a lawyer. I became a certified public accountant.
Yeah, sure.
But I passed the law exam, which is part of the CPA exam. And I worked in business with many lawyers. But if not for Tom Osborne, who encouraged me in college and directed me, if not for Dennis Richards, a famous mountain climber who took me under his wing, we climbed as partners for 8 years.
Yes.
If not for those two men, I never could have lived my dream. And so my encouragement is for young people. If you want to be a doctor, find a doctor who's successful.
Yeah, sure.
Make him your friend and ask him questions. And I'll tell you the truth about, I'm 66 years old. I'm a mature man, I've lived my dream, and I've also suffered on this earth. But I love sharing with young people.
Yeah, sure.
And I'll share with, it's free. I'll mentor you, I'll share my experiences, I'll share my education with you.
Yes.
Because, I came to Uganda to serve and not to be served. So the rest of my life is what's called a legacy. How will I be remembered when I die?
Yeah, sure.
And as I told you, if you're 25 years old, you've already lived a 30-year life. When you get to be my age, in your 60s, who knows when you're going to leave this earth, and die. So when I get older, if I'm 90 years old, I want to look back and say, how many lives did I impact? How many young people did I encourage to be the best?
Yes.
Life is not about money. Life is not about possessions. And it's not about your job or whatever, but really, life is all about relationship. And all relationships begin with God. And the only two things I take into the afterlife, into heaven, my relationships and my character. So I want to be known as a man of character, a man of integrity that you can trust.
Yes.
I have invested in this resort, Mark's Resort, and I have our objectives here on the wall. Number one is honor God in all we do. Commitment to our community and environment, teamwork and trust, and excellence in everything. And so I encourage young people today, set values for your life. Set boundaries, values. What do you want to be known for?
Yeah.
Why should people trust you? Be a person of integrity.
What can our parents, Ugandan parents, do to nurture their young people as they are preparing them for a better future?
If I was a parent in Uganda,
Yes.
a young person will not know, like someone in primary school, will not know how to find a mentor. But if I was a parent and I'm a farmer, I dig, and my child wants to become a doctor, or a lawyer, or whatever, truck driver, I would find someone in my community and I would ask them to sit down with my child and have a discussion. What's it like to be a truck driver? What's it like to be a doctor? Or what's it like to be a lawyer? Those things will plant seeds in the minds of a child and give them hope, hope of a future. And I met a young man.
Yes.
He didn't do well in primary school.
Yeah, sure.
And he didn't do well in secondary school, and now he's frustrated because he can't get into college with those grades. And what's he going to do with his life? I said, why didn't you study? He goes, because I love music. So he listened to music and entertained himself rather than opening the book and studying. So he didn't realize that he's setting his future.
Currently, Uganda is a young country with over 75% of its population are the youth.
Really? 75% are youth?
Over 75% are the youth, which means Uganda is a developing country. So what advice or what can young people do, at least to shape their future?
That's an interesting, and I realize why what you said is true, because it's not like America. Here, I know that parents have up to 12 children.
Yeah, sure.
How can you pay for these children? But the biggest problem is, how do you pay for the school fees?
Yes.
And so another difference is that young people in Uganda work hard physically, not in America.
Yeah.
Young people in America are lazy. And that's why they're overweight, whatever.
Yes.
But I think that young people should find a way to to help someone in the community and earn some money.
Yeah.
Maybe your neighbor's a farmer. Maybe you help them dig when it's season to dig, or maybe you help them harvest when it's time to harvest.
Yes.
But a young person in Uganda, because the parents have so many children,
Yes.
needs to always be thinking about, how do I earn money and how do I save up for my own education? It's really frustrating to me because it's not necessarily like that in America.
Yes.
But it just reminds me that, like I said, even when they're young, they should be always thinking about, how do they make money just working for a neighbor or doing something in the community? Because if you don't pay school fees, if you don't get an education, then you will always be where you are.
Yeah, sure.
Everyone in the world knows that you have to have an education to earn a higher income. And for me, I was a carpenter for 3.5 years.
Yes.
And I was 22 years old and I said, I don't want to wake up when I'm 30 years old and still be doing this. It's very hard work. So I actually made a good investment. I bought a home, I restored the home, I sold it, and I made so much money it paid for my whole education.
Yeah, sure.
So if I hadn't taken that risk, I wouldn't have been able to pay my school fees.
Yeah, sure.
But once I got an education, I was in the upper tier of America and how much money I could make.
So now, Mark, as I was saying, the percentage is really huge for the youth in Uganda. Now, what could be the impact for not investing in the youth development?
You know, the one thing, when I go to Kampala, I see street people.
Yeah, sure.
And it makes me so sad. And every one of those street persons, every one of them has a rare talent.
Yeah, sure.
We just need to find that rare talent and help them to nurture and grow it. So, I think the most important thing is to get encouragement.
Yeah.
So I encourage the parents to always encourage the children.
Yeah.
I encourage that we all lift one another up in the community. That if you have a passion, if you have courage, you can overcome any obstacle, because most obstacles are not real.
Yes.
And if they appear to be real, they're only temporary.
Why did you have to invest in Mark Resort, and why did you have to choose these objectives?
I heard of a mother who gave birth to a healthy baby boy, but she died giving birth. Sometime after that, I heard of a 16-year-old girl who was impregnated and then abandoned by the father.
Oh.
She died giving birth, and the baby died.
Yeah.
This is not like America. And so when I came to Uganda, my goal was to preach the gospel. I've preached 100 times in many different Christian doctrines, but talk is talk. And I wanted to be the hands and feet of Jesus and to make a difference in Uganda. So my first initiative was to save mothers and babies from dying in childbirth. And that's when I lived at the clinic and I helped some midwives to further their career.
Yeah.
But a year ago, I encountered a woman, a young lady, her 5 of her siblings are disabled.
Yes.
And so that's when I discovered a school called Rhapsody in Chidodo near Kasese.
Yes.
God put it on my heart to help people with disabilities, especially children. I get money every month from America until I die. It's called Social Security. It's not very much money in America, but it's a lot of money here in Uganda. And I give most of my money away helping people.
Oh, that's
But
good.
I'm limited on how many people I can help. And I don't need the headache of this resort, taking risk in a business. But I decided to invest. I've invested over 120 million so far on this property.
Yeah, sure.
And the reason is this: all of the profit that I make at this property, Mark's Resort, goes to 2 initiatives: save mothers and babies from dying in childbirth, and help people with disability, especially children. So I want to be a difference maker. Someday when I die, I want people to remember me for a man who gave back to the community.
Yes.
And that becomes my legacy, which means how I'm remembered.
Oh, that's really good for helping people who are helpless. To a parent outside there who is stuck on how to nurture his child for a better future, and the child, your advice?
I know people who are stuck.
Yeah, sure.
They can't pay school fees.
Yeah.
And so that's a tough one, to be patient, to endure, and I think the key word is tenacity and resilience. Resilience is a term that means that if something bends you back, that you can then return and bend forward.
Yeah, you can.
Like a spring on a car flexes, that's resilience. So just because life gets you down doesn't mean you're always going to be down.
Yeah.
And that you can spring back with tenacity, endurance, perseverance, and live your dream, truly live your dream.
Yes.
All has been said by Mark. You have to honor God and you have to keep growing as a tree. I've been your host, Joseph from Banyoro. I wish you the best.